How can one man defeat 7 generals, each commanding their own armies and driven by unyielding ambitions, and transform himself into a living legend in the hearts of the Roman legions? This is the story of Tarquinius, the unbeatable strategist who changed the course of history. In times of crisis, when the Roman legions faced the internal threat of defiant generals challenging Rome's authority, Tarquinius emerged. He not only confronted armed rebellions, but also eliminated 7 of the most feared insurgent leaders in battles that pushed the limits of Roman strategy and courage. But these victories weren't just about strength. They were games of cunning, psychological control, and precise tactics. What made Tarquinius stand out in situations where so many others would have fallen? Was it his unshakable determination, his ability to anticipate the enemy's moves, or something deeper? Perhaps a code of honor or a burning desire to protect Rome at any cost. The story of his victories is also a story of perseverance, leadership, and the triumph of intellect over chaos. But what really happened in each confrontation? How did Tarquinius manage to outsmart generals commanding loyal troops and employing brutal strategies? Were his achievements a matter of luck or the result of an unparalleled military mind? Today, we'll uncover the secrets behind these legendary battles and how each victory solidified the myth of Tarquinius as the invincible. In today's video, we'll delve into the profiles of these 7 generals, their motivations, and what made them so dangerous. We'll reconstruct the decisive battles, highlighting Tarquinius' brilliant strategies, and show how he not only triumphed but also shaped the future of Rome. Get ready to dive into a saga of glory, betrayal, and epic conquests. If you're fascinated by stories of courage, strategy, and legendary heroes, this video is for you. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel to ensure more stories like this reach you, and to help keep the memory of these extraordinary feats alive. Now, let's discover how Tarquinius became a legend. Tarquinius didn't emerge from the shadows of history as a warrior born to power, but as an enigmatic figure whose ascent defied all expectations. Born in a time of internal Roman turmoil, he was neither the most skilled swordsman nor the most charismatic leader. What set him apart was his unparalleled ability to observe, adapt, and outthink his adversaries. In a fractured political landscape where betrayal was as common as battle, Tarquinius crafted his reputation by surviving situations that would have destroyed others. His first significant moment came not from the battlefield, but from a calculated decision to negotiate rather than attack. When faced with a rebellion led by a seasoned general, Tarquinius infiltrated the ranks of his enemy, dismantling their alliance from within. This approach demonstrated that his greatest weapon was his mind, not his sword. By the time he confronted his first major battle, he had already secured victory in the minds of his foes, who underestimated the depths of his strategy. What made his rise even more astonishing was the personal cost. Tarquinius faced constant suspicion from those he served, his calculated demeanor often mistaken for cold ambition. These accusations fueled his need to prove himself, pushing him to victories no one thought possible. Yet, these successes only deepened the intrigue surrounding him. How could a man without the traditional traits of a hero rise so quickly in the ranks of Roman leadership? As Tarquinius continued to ascend, his actions attracted not just admiration, but also formidable enemies. 7 generals, each commanding their own armies, emerged as obstacles to his growing influence. But who were these men, and what drove them to challenge him? The 7 generals who stood against Tarquinius were as diverse in their motivations as they were in their methods. Each represented a different threat, and together they symbolized the fractured state of Rome's internal politics. The first, General Cassius, was a strategist revered for his calculated brutality. His army struck terror into the hearts of their enemies. Yet his downfall came when Tarquinius exploited Cassius's overconfidence, turning his soldiers against him in a battle of wits rather than weapons. General Falco, in stark contrast, was known for his unshakable loyalty to his troops and his cause. This loyalty, however, became his greatest vulnerability. Tarquinius planted seeds of doubt among Falco's allies, orchestrating a betrayal that shattered his command. Then there was the cunning General Marius, whose expertise in deception nearly rivaled that of Tarquinius. Their confrontation became a chess match of misdirection, with Tarquinius emerging victorious by predicting Marius's every move. Each of these generals embodied both strength and weakness, and Tarquinius understood how to exploit the latter with precision. For example, General Varus, celebrated for his overwhelming force, was defeated when Tarquinius lured him into a trap where his numbers became a liability. Tarquinius's ability to see through the bravado of his enemies was unmatched, yet it was not without its challenges. As he continued to dismantle each general's efforts, the tension escalated. How could one man anticipate so much and stay ahead of forces so determined to destroy him? Was it skill, luck, or something else entirely? The battles that followed revealed just how far Tarquinius was willing to go to secure victory. At the siege of Clusium, he turned an impossible situation into a masterstroke of strategy. Faced with an enemy fortified behind seemingly impenetrable walls, Tarquinius leveraged psychological warfare. By spreading false intelligence among the defenders, he sowed confusion that led to their collapse before the first strike was even made. In the ambuscade at Sutrium, Tarquinius faced overwhelming odds. Outnumbered and surrounded, he used the terrain to his advantage, crafting a defense that funneled enemy forces into narrow passes where their numerical advantage was rendered useless. This battle not only highlighted his tactical brilliance, but also cemented his reputation as a commander who thrived under pressure. But it was the duel at Veii that defined his legacy. Here, Tarquinius didn't rely solely on strategy. He took to the front lines, leading his troops in a decisive charge that broke the enemy's will to fight. This rare moment of direct combat showed that while his mind was his sharpest tool, his courage was equally unyielding. Each victory brought Tarquinius closer to legendary status, yet the stakes grew higher with every triumph. What would happen if his next opponent saw through his methods, or if his luck finally ran out? His relentless pursuit of success begged the question. Was he building an empire of glory, or a fragile tower destined to collapse? Tarquinius's victories reshaped Rome, uniting fractured factions and elevating him to near-mythical status among the legions. His success not only stabilized internal conflicts, but also inspired a new standard of leadership. Generals who followed sought to emulate his blend of intellect and bravery, though few could replicate it. Yet, behind this public admiration lay a more complex reality. The Senate, wary of any single man holding too much power, began to view Tarquinius as a potential threat to Rome's balance. This suspicion grew as his fame expanded. Intrigues brewed in the political sphere, with rivals plotting to undermine him. Even his closest allies questioned his motives, unsure whether his actions were for the good of Rome or for his own legacy. Despite these tensions, Tarquinius pressed on, his victories serving as a shield against the growing hostility around him. His campaigns not only brought Rome stability, but also raised questions about the cost of such unity. How much of himself had Tarquinius sacrificed to achieve greatness? And what price would Rome ultimately pay for his methods? As the weight of his legend grew heavier, so did the whispers of dissent. Was Tarquinius truly Rome's savior? Or had his relentless pursuit of victory planted the seeds of something more ominous? Would his name endure as a symbol of hope, or as a cautionary tale of power unrestrained? Tarquinius rose to legendary status, but at what cost? His victories united Rome, yet whispers of dissent grew louder. Was he a savior, or a warning of unchecked power? But Tarquinius wasn't the only Roman leader to face such a dilemma. Centuries later, Germanicus stood at a crossroads of loyalty and ambition, as his own legions offered him the imperial crown. Would he seize power, or put Rome above himself? Back in index pointing right, click here to uncover the gripping tale of Germanicus and the mutiny that could have changed the empire forever.